For most of human history, the struggle wasn't just finding food. It was keeping it from killing you. Before the luxury of a cold kitchen, our ancestors were at the mercy of the seasons. If you killed a large animal or harvested a crop in the summer heat, you had a matter of hours before bacteria began the process of decay. To survive, we became masters of salt, smoke, and fermentation. But the dream was always the same: to stop time by using the cold. In ancient times, if you were wealthy enough, you could fight the calendar. The Persians built yakhchals, massive, conical mud brick structures that used evaporative cooling and wind towers to keep ice frozen even in the middle of the desert. In China and Rome, servants would haul blocks of ice from frozen mountains and bury them in deep, insulated pits. But for the average person, refrigeration was simply a cold stream or a deep hole in the ground. The modern story of the refrigerator actually begins with a global trade in frozen water. In the early 1800s, a businessman named Frederick Tudor, known as the Ice King, started harvesting ice from New England ponds, packing it in sawdust, and shipping it as far away as India and the Caribbean. This gave birth to the icebox, a wooden cabinet lined with tin or zinc and insulated with cork or seaweed. A delivery man would bring a fresh block of ice every few days, which sat in a tray at the top, allowing the heavy, cold air to sink and preserve the milk and meat below. It was a revolution, but it was expensive, messy, and dependent on a massive, melting supply chain. The shift from ice to refrigeration required a leap in physics. In the mid-1700s, Scottish professor William Cullen demonstrated that by creating a vacuum over a container of ether, he could make it boil and absorb heat, effectively creating a cooling effect. He had discovered the principle of vapor compression, but he never turned it into a machine. It took another century for practical inventors to catch up. In the 1850s, James Harrison, a Scottish immigrant in Australia, built a mechanical ice maker to help breweries keep their beer cool. At the same time, in the American South, John Gorrie was trying to create artificial cool to lower the body temperatures of yellow fever patients. These early machines were massive, steam-powered behemoths that used dangerous, volatile chemicals like ammonia and sulfur dioxide. They were for factories and hospitals, not for homes. The first home refrigerator, the DOMELRE, appeared in 1913, but it was essentially a loud, expensive cooling unit that you sat on top of your old icebox. The real breakthrough came in 1927 with the General Electric monitor top. It was the first to combine the cooling works and the cabinet into a single unit. It looked like it had a giant, ribbed hat on top, which was the compressor. It cost over $500, more than a Model T Ford. But it promised something incredible: independence from the Iceman. However, these early home units had a dark side. They used toxic gases as refrigerants. If a joint in the pipe leaked while a family was sleeping, it could be fatal. This led to the development of Freon in the late 1920s. Freon was a miracle gas. It was non-flammable and seemingly harmless to humans. With a safe refrigerant, the fridge exploded in popularity. By the 1940s, the refrigerator had become the centerpiece of the modern kitchen, moving from a luxury to a necessity. But as the 20th century progressed, we learned that our miracle gas was a hidden threat. In the 1970s and 80s, Scientists discovered that CFCs like Freon were rising into the atmosphere and eating a hole in the Earth's ozone layer. In a rare moment of global unity, the Montreal Protocol was signed, forcing the industry to reinvent the refrigerator yet again using more environmentally friendly chemicals. Today, the refrigerator is so ubiquitous we almost don't see it. It has transformed the way we eat, the way we shop, and the way our cities are built. We no longer need to live within walking distance of a fresh market or a farm. We can buy food from across the planet and keep it fresh for weeks. We've moved from mud brick pits in the desert to smart fridges that can tell us when our milk is expiring and display photos on a touchscreen. But at its core, the technology is still doing the same miraculous thing it did for the Persians and the Romans. It is fighting the laws of biology, slowing down time, and keeping the heat at bay so that we can eat tomorrow what we gathered today. From the ice harvest to the electric compressor, it is perhaps the most life-saving, world-changing machine we ever invited into our homes. Thanks for watching.